Welcome back to the Artefactors Union. I am your host and foreman, Douglas Scoundrels. Today, we are assembling the Rasputina Core box for the Arcanist faction, the December keyword. Box is a core box, so we've got a Master Rasputina, this ice lady right here, and 5 other models, her totem, the Wendigo, Snowstorm, the henchman, the lady, and the yeti she is riding on top of, and 3 December acolytes, this being one of them, who is licking a knife. That is unsanitary. Alright, that is our artwork. Renders on the back. Raspy covered in ice. Got some very pretty boots. Our Wendigo being a thin boy. Snowstorm just being heckin' huge. And then our acolytes with some knives and harpoon guns. Alright, let's look at our sprues. Okay, 2 fairly sizable sprues, however one of them is literally just Snowstorm. Is a big chunky boy. So that's the Snowstorm sprue. We've got Raspy up here on this one, Rasputina, sorry. We all refer to her as Raspy in the community. The Wendigo being this individual sprue, and then our acolytes on this long one. This being 1, this being 2, and this one being 3. Alright, let's look at our instructions for Raspy and then go over her order next. Okay, Raspy. We will grab her body first and then attach it to her big flowing coat. After that we can do both her right arm and her left arm, followed by her right hand and her left hand. Then we'll do her head. The reason we do her feet last because they got kind of small connection points. I'm afraid of knocking them off. So we'll do them last, but this looks like to be her right foot and her left foot. So these 2 bits first. Okay, this is the back of her body, the front of her body. She's just going to snap or nicely squeeze in place there in her coat. Now glue that, unlike me. Okay, now let's add her right arm. It is the arm with an actual connection point tooth. So this one followed by her right hand, which is the one with the magical ice in it. A little hard to get in there, but that's what tweezers are for. Now let's do the right hand. Okay, though I might try and squish that in there just a little more. Now let's do our left arm, I guess the remaining one, which will attach right there. And there's the arm. Alright, now add the hand. Okay, cool. Now let's do our head. Gonna fit in right there. Cool. Our last bit's going to be our feet. Again, this one, you can see the heel. This will be our right foot. And this will be our left foot. However, if you get them mixed up, the connection points are different shapes, so you'll be able to correct it, or notice that it's wrong pretty easily. Let's do her right foot first. There's our feet nubs. Let's do the right. There we go, and the left. She's all done. Base her. Rasputina is done. Pretty simple model overall. Hardest part, maybe the hands. Just because they're the smallest bits. Well, the feet were also fairly small, but nothing too bad at all. Not going to complain. We can just move on. Let's do that. Okay, for the Wendigo, we will grab the body and then add the legs, and then we'll do each of the legs. I think this is our right leg and this is our left leg, followed by the arms, which will just attach at the elbows, and finish with the head. We've got a body. Now add the hips and thighs. Alright, next will be the legs. The claw, the extra claw that's kind of sitting on the upper inner calf, whatever. This one is going to be on the inside of the leg. Therefore, we are going to be putting this one as the right leg. Right leg is in. Now the left leg. Make sure that both feet sit relatively flat on the ground. Now let's add the arms attaching to both elbows. Okay, we'll probably need to rotate it ever so slightly to get the right angle where the gaps close on the elbows. But now let's add the head. Oh, okay, I guess I'm a little dumb. Did not realize that part of the arm and meat bit was his lower jaw. So if you're assembling this, put the head on first, and that way you can make sure you attach the lower jaw correctly and the elbows correctly. So I'm going to do just a little bit of nudging to fix that, but should be easy enough for me to fix. But go ahead and put them on a base afterwards. Okay, I was having a real rough time with the legs there, so I also suggest maybe doing those last, just because there's small connection points that don't stick very well. Anyways, he is done now. The Wendigo is completed. This model was harder than Rasputina, and much of that difficulty was in the legs, but also getting the lower jaw to line up with the head to line up with the elbows wasn't super easy either. At least it's only a few bits, so it didn't take too long. Anyways. Alright, on to the Snowstorm. Got a decent amount of pieces, but it's a big model, and I don't think any of this is going to be too difficult. So we will start by grabbing the two halves of the body, and then we'll do a back left leg, back right leg, front left leg arm thing, front right arm, then the head, and the jaw is here, followed by both of the horns, and then we can do the lady on top. We'll do her body first, and then do a leg, an arm, her other arm up here, and then her head. So let's start with the two halves of the body, but let's first look at the instructions. Here is Snowstorm's right side. Let's add the left half now. Alright, there's that. Now let's go ahead and add the left back leg. Alright, now the right back leg. Let's do the right front leg now. Arm looks pretty good. Now let's do the left arm. Front leg, whatever. And that's the left arm. So I did try putting the head on initially just to make sure that I could fill the gap if there was a gap. There was a gap. But I also realized that we should probably put the lady on the back first before we put the head on. So instead of putting the head on next, we're going to go ahead and grab her body, this right here, and then we'll probably at least do her leg as well down here. Right, she is going to go right up here in this top hole. Next, the left leg, going to go right in there and dangle downward. You can kind of see the connection point. Like so. There is actually a tooth on the top of the leg that goes in right this corner where I'm pointing. Whoops. Yeah, might as well show you real quick. There's the tooth. Just jams right up in there. Something like that. Oh, yep. There we go. Now we can add the head. Yeah, that would have been a lot harder to do her after the body. Okay, our lower jaw, and then I'll figure out which horn goes where. Lower jaw went in just fine. Now if we look at the holes on the top of the head, this one appears to go in, sorry, his left appears to go in further than the one on the right, which we can then compare to the two horns, where this one down here, it's on the same sprue as her hair that we haven't touched. I believe this is our left horn, and this is our right horn up here with the sprue that only has her one arm. Alright, let me go see if that's right. I was correct. That is the left horn. So now let's do the right horn. Both horns are in. Got 3 bits left. First, her left arm, which will connect to the shoulder, but also come down here and attach to her butt, more or less, which would mean it would have to be this one, because it has that nice connection tooth. So we'll do left arm, and then the right arm, which is pointing forward, I believe, and lastly, her head and hair. There is the left arm. Now the right arm. Right arm installed. Now let's do the head. Sweet. We have completed Snowstorm. Let's put her on a base. Them on a base. Snowstorm is done. Big model, big bits. Biggest complaint is maybe figuring out the we'll say the right arm on Miss Snow up top. Although the seam that I couldn't fill between the head and the rest of the body also kind of sucks, but that's just more of a filling complaint than an actual complaint with the assembly. Pretty easy. Let's move on to the minions. On to our December acolytes. While they are numbered to 1, 3 here, they match up the instructions as Acolyte 1, Acolyte 2, and Acolyte 3, so that's the order we are going to do them in. So, for Acolyte 1, once my camera actually focuses, our assembly order is going to be as such. We're going to grab the body, and then we're going to add the left leg and the right leg, or one or the, I think that's left and right. Anyways, after both legs are in, we'll do the crotch flap, we'll do the coat across the shoulders, which will allow us to add the right arm and the left arm, and finish with the head. Now let's look at the instructions for all three and get started. Okay, here's the body, and next is going to be our left leg, the one with the long sheath on it. I did guess correctly. Goodness, camera, please focus. Yeah, anyways, gonna go here, and the sheath is gonna go right in this nice connection point. Alright, good. Now let's add the right leg. Now that we have both legs in, let's add the crotch flap. The flap is in place. Now let's add the big fur coat, cloak thing. Alright. That's in. Next, we're going to go ahead and do the right arm, which is the one holding the harpoon gun. Connect here and here. Big gun. Okay, let's do the left arm holding the knife. There is a nice tooth in the back of the connection point to help that sit correctly. Alright, let's do the head. We're all done. Base time. Our first December acolyte is completed. We're going to call him Fork. Hardest part for assembling him would be the right leg. Sure. Very easy model to assemble. Just be careful with that harpoon, because that is a very thin, not even connection point, it's just a very thin shaft of that harpoon. Don't get it snapped off if you can help it. Let's move on. For our second December acolyte, we're going to grab the body, do the right leg, and after that the coat and torso. We'll add the extra bit of the coat onto that, and then we'll do the left arm and the right arm. I think those are left and right, could be wrong. Then we'll add the gun onto the ends of each of the hands, wrists, and finish with the head again. So this bit, and this bit are our first three. Alright, got a body. Now let's add the leg. Stepping forward. Now the upper part of the coat, cloak. Fits in there real easy. Now let's go ahead and do the back part of the coat. It is quite flabby. Alright, as far as our arms, pull this up. I believe this top one is our right arm and this one is our bottom arm. I was right. That was the right arm. Now let's do the left arm. Alright, obviously holding a weapon of some kind. Let's give them a weapon now. So the butt of the gun does glue into the inside of the arm there, so it's fairly solid. However, this is very egregious, having it connect to the very thin harpoon up here on the sprue. That might be the worst part of this entire build. Trying to clean that up without breaking it off. Alright, let's put the head on. Head is given. Let's put him on base now. Our second December acolyte is completed. We're going to call this one knife. Yeah, hardest parts would be the right arm. Yeah, getting the right arm in there was about the most difficult part. Pretty simple, just be really careful with the harpoon. Again, gotta keep reiterating that. Alright. Our 3rd December Acolyte is going to be the easiest. Hooray for that. We'll grab the body, add the crotch flap, then the head and coat, then the right arm, followed by the gun that's tucked underneath the right arm, and lastly the left arm. Let's get started. Body first, crotch flap is now going to go in the crotch. Alright, that's in. Now let's go ahead and do the coat on her back. Coat and head are now on. Let's next do the right arm, the one that's not holding a knife, going right in there. Alright, it might be smarter just to put it in first before you do the coat. Found it easiest to pull the coat out of her, pull the coat off slightly, jam it in there. But next, we'll go ahead and do the gun. You can see where the butt will rest underneath the elbow. That is as far pushed in as I can get it. I'm relatively certain the angle is correct on it. Just make sure that the harpoon will be resting on the ground with her feet. Now let's do the left arm. Ma'am, that's unsanitary. Let's put her on her base. Our 3rd December Acolyte is done. We're going to call her Spoons. Yeah. Hardest part was fitting the right arm into the shoulder socket. I'm sure it'd be a lot easier if I did that before I put the coat on, but also special note to watch out for the harpoon. Again, thin, fragile, try not to snap it off. But let's look at the whole box now. The Rasputina Core box is done, containing Rasputina, the Wendigo, Snowstorm, and 3 December Acolytes. A fairly simple box overall, only have a couple things of note that I would like to, I guess, complain about? No, really, it's just the tips on the harpoon guns, but, I mean, they gotta be harpoons, so there's always that risk. The only thing I found to be completely unnecessary is the connection point to the sprue on the 2nd December Acolyte. But the legs of the Wendigo also, honestly, really sucked. But that's about it. Fairly simple core box, something I'd probably recommend people do if they're getting into Malifaux new and aren't sure of themselves as far as assembly goes. So that's the comments I have. I have been your foreman, Douglas Scoundrels, helping you build a better Malifaux. Stay warm.